to Interlagos for event 12 of the International Touring Car Championship. Well, after races in 6 European countries, the ITC circus has flown to Brazil to give the South Americans their first taste of the world's top saloon car championship. In the last event at Hockenheim, Manuel Reuter scored a win and a second place to retake the championship lead. His closest challenger, Bernd Schneider, had a terrible day with 2 retirements. And it's raining here in Brazil as the cars start their rolling lap, and Nicola Larini's Alfa Romeo has been left on the line. JJ Lehto's Opel is on pole, and we're riding with Bernd Schneider, who's following Manuel Reuter. They're both way back on the 6th row of the grid. In this weather, the big gamble is tyre choice. The rain has eased and a dry line is appearing as the lights go green and the race is on. Christian Danner and JJ Lehto side by side, the Opel on the left, the Alfa on the right as they go down into the first S-bend, followed by Nannini, Alson and Gavin, who's come through that first tight corner first. It's the Alfa on the inside. Christian Danner has the lead, but JJ Lehto is alongside him and fighting back. And Manuel Reuter moving up there in the middle of the grid, sneaking ahead of Bernd Schneider as they go onto the back straight now. The Alfa is clearly ahead. It's Christian Danner from JJ Lehto. Alessandro Nannini is third. A tremendous start by Oliver Gavin. Oliver Gavin is fourth in the blue and white Opel. Gavin has moved right up to 4th place as Christian Danner starts to ease away a little bit. The 2 yellow Opels of Alson and Ludwig are chasing Oliver Gavin. There is the black Opel of Reuter. Most of these front runners on slick tyres because they think it is going to dry out, although it is very, very slippery indeed round the back. And somebody's getting sideways, that's Tarquini. Tarquini tangling with Alson, they're both going off, they're well and truly in the barriers. Alson's yellow Opel and Tarquini's red Alfa tangling. The Alfa ends up almost on top of the barriers. There's Giancarlo Fisichella's car, which has also spun, but he looks as though he's going to be able to get going again in his Alfa. But there is Oliver Gavin off now. That's a shame. Oliver Gavin, I think a little tap there by Ludwig in the other yellow Opel, because Ludwig's now back in the pits getting his bodywork taped up. But that's a shame because Oliver Gavin was so well up. Now, number 1 is the silver Mercedes of Bernd Schneider, the reigning champion. Today is the day he might well lose that championship to Reuter, and that is the remains of the battered Opel of Uwe Alson. They've dragged it away from the barriers, but quite clearly his race is run. But the race going on at the front because the 2 Alfas battling for the lead. There's an Alfa that's got it wrong, that's Michael Bartel's, but let's run with the leading battle. Alessandro Nannini in second place, chasing Christian Danner, the leader. They've got in front of them the yellow Opel of Ludwig, who made that pit stop. But look how Nannini is able to close up on Danner in the corners. The 3rd Alfa right on Nannini's tail is the car of Stefano Modena. 3 Alfas fighting for the lead on this treacherously slippery surface. These cars, incidentally, have 4-wheel drive. The Mercedes don't, the Alfas and Opels do, which is rather necessary on this treacherously slippery circuit. And Nannini gets very close indeed to Danner as he leaves his braking late. Then Danner eases away up the hill on that long, never-ending left-hander that takes them back onto the start-finish straight. Christian Danner still leads. Alessandro Nannini is still second. Stefano Modena is third. Those are the 3 Alfas. The 4th place battle is the battle for the championship because that's Manuel Reuter and Bernd Schneider. They've both come through from the 6th row to be battling for 4th place. JJ Lehto is 6th. And there they are, that's the 4th place battle with Reuter at the front. Look at those teeth on the front of the car. And then do you see the teeth disappear because they're painted on a flap on the front of the car, an air intake which shuts for improved aerodynamics when they go down the straight and opens when they get to the corners. All very clever stuff on these ITC cars, but Bernd Schneider with the 2-wheel drive Mercedes, but that's nevertheless a very sophisticated piece of kit as well. Following through, Reuter has a big queue of cars now behind him with Lehto 6th. Dalmas in 7th place, the other silver Mercedes in 8th place. That's the Scot Dario Franchitti. But now the 2 championship challengers are moving away a little bit as Baylander sets the fastest lap on this constantly changing surface. It's drying all the time. And look at Schneider having a look at the inside of Reuter. Schneider very determined indeed. Left his braking very late, got right up the inside of Manuel Reuter. Schneider will be determined to try to beat Reuter today, because Reuter is nudging very close to this championship in this, the penultimate event in the 1996 ITC, and Schneider can still beat Reuter for the championship title, but to do so he first has to beat him in this first of the two races here in Brazil. And Nannini going for the lead, Nannini alongside Christian Danner. Nannini is through. Nannini, as we ride with him, goes through on the inside of Christian Danner on that long uphill left-hander over the start-finish line. Danner has a little look at the inside to fight back as they go into the downhill left, then right, and two of the Mercedes have tangled. Sandy Grau trying to overtake Ellen Law on the inside. They touch, they both spin, with Ellen Law going all the way through 360 degrees. It's very, very slippery indeed. There's Oliver Gavin moving up, elbowing past Christian Fittipaldi in the black Mercedes. So Gavin did get restarted, and Hans Stuck getting a little wide. Yannick Dalmas gets past him. It's very, very slippery indeed. There's Tony Kanan, the Brazilian, going off right in front of Max Wilson, his compatriot in the white Alfa. Wilson just misses him, but that is indication, if you needed it, but on slick tyres it's still very, very slippery indeed. And here's Manuel Reuter still being pursued by Schneider. Twitch from Schneider there. Oh yes, Schneider nearly losing it there, and losing a lot of time in fact. Reuter moving swiftly away from him on a tidier line. That's Tony Kanan calling it a day. He's had a big spin and now he's come out, and now we're riding with Manuel Reuter, and this indicates just how slippery it is. He's twitching away at the wheel, trying to drive tidily, which is what Reuter does so well, but he's fighting that car on this surface, and Schneider's still there, headlights on. Despite that mistake of a lap ago, Schneider is still keeping the pressure on Manuel Reuter as they fight on for these crucial championship points here at Sao Paulo. Ahead of them, it's still the Alfas 1, 2, 3. There's Nannini, now quite comfortably in the lead, over 5 seconds ahead. But look how close it is for second place between Christian Danner and Stefano Modena. They're 2/5 of a second apart. And Modena now really on Christian Danner's tail, pushing him very, very hard as they go onto the back straight. And Modena having a look at the inside. Look at the way the windscreen wipers park in the middle of the screen, because they are aerodynamically slightly better off if they're vertical rather than horizontal. Just may make 100th of a second difference, and when you're racing as closely as this, you need every 100th. Modena gets very close under braking now, and Danner's sideways, Danner's wide, Modena's through. The pressure of Modena pushed Danner into a mistake. He fights back, tries to go through on the inside himself, but Modena has the door firmly shut. Stefano Modena goes past Christian Danner and into second place. A tremendous battle between these Alfas. Alfas 1, 2, 3 here in Brazil, but it's Modena second now, Christian Danner third. Still Reuter in the Opel in fourth place, still Bernd Schneider fifth for Mercedes. But as the Alfas fight on, Alessandro Nannini out on his own, and still we're getting little showers of rain. It's still very slippery indeed here. The track hasn't had a chance to dry off completely, and most of these front-running cars are on slicks, trying to stay on the dry line, and off goes Bernd Mailander. Bernd Mailander has spun to a halt. He's in the middle of the circuit, but he's now found reverse gear. He's trying to get out of the way of the traffic. The yellow flag's waving behind him as Alessandro Nannini goes on his way past now Ellen Law, who's spun her Mercedes well into the gravel, and she is beached. Alessandro Nannini, meanwhile, smooth and relaxed. He's got enough cushion behind him now on this final lap to be able to run through to the checkered flag without any pressure at all. Alessandro Nannini, veteran of 77 Grand Prix for Benetton and Minardi, lots of experience, and it's really showing here in these tricky conditions. But there's a great battle going on for 7th place. Hans Stuck going round on the outside of both Magnussen and Yannick Dalmas. He's squeezing through, elbows Dalmas out of the way. Magnussen also gets very close to Dalmas, but Hans Stuck is 7th now, Yannick Dalmas 8th. And Dalmas having a look at the outside there, with Magnussen getting a grandstand view of it all, but Hans Stuck in the Keke Rosberg Opel easing away as the checkered flag comes out for Alessandro Nannini. Alessandro Nannini wins the first race here for ITC in Sao Paulo. Stefano Modena leads home Christian Danner, the two of them still very close, There is the victorious Nannini, and is Manuel Reuter going to get fourth? Yes, he does. Reuter is fourth from Schneider, with Leto sixth ahead of Stuck and Dalmas. It's looking good for Reuter. We'll have race 2 from Interlagos after the break. Welcome back to Brazil, and it's rained again here at Interlagos. Oliver Gavin's Opel is stuck on the starting grid, and Manuel Reuter and Michael Bartels are both in the pit lane as the field go off on their rolling start lap. And the fact that Reuter, the championship leader, is in the pit lane is good news for Bernd Schneider, because he is back there on the third row of the grid, and there's a gap where Reuter should be as they come now down to the start line. Alessandro Nannini and Stefano Modina's Alfa's at the front. Then it's Christian Danner's Alfa, and a gap where Reuter should be, as I say, which Leto is moving into. And now the lights go green and the race is on, and a good start by Modena, but he's on the outside, and Nannini eases ahead. Tucked in behind Nannini is Christian Danner. Are they all going to get through that first tight S-bend? It's like a skating rink. Nannini is in front. Christian Danner has got into that second place. Schneider is being caught by the traffic behind him, grappling for grip in the silver Mercedes, but Alessandro Nannini is the leader. Christian Danner is in second place. Stefano Modena is third. Alfa's 1, 2, 3. JJ Leto is fourth. Then it's Bernd Schneider with Jan Magnussen's Mercedes crawling all over the back of him. And I guess getting very close indeed as we ride with Schneider, with Magnussen just giving him a little tap in the boot lid there, just to say, look, here I am, and almost another one. He's going along on the outside is Magnussen, but Schneider's going to hold his line into the right-hander and then drifts out across. And Christian Fittipaldi's spun, and he is stuck in the wet grass. As we look at how that happened, he spun right in the middle of the pack, and did somebody hit him? Well, various phenomenal avoiding actually went one way, then the other. And look at Manuel Reuter coming up with the headlights on. Manuel Reuter, having started from the pit lane, is working his way through the traffic, squeezing through unscathed. There he goes, a glimpse of him there. But now Jan Magnussen and Bernd Schneider are side by side, and in that white Alfa Romeo is Max Wilson. Look for the white Alfa going round the outside of Schneider there. Max Wilson, local hero on his home circuit, is absolutely storming up the field. He's passed both Bernd Schneider and Jan Magnussen, and he is flying. He's on wet weather tyres, which is a very, very shrewd choice with the weather the way it is, and he's in that white Alfa number 19, and he's scything through the traffic as Bernd Schneider slips further down. So Max Wilson gets to the front of that group and is storming along. Still at the front, it's the three Alfa Romeos. Alessandro Nannini, there he is, leading. Christian Danner in second place. Stefano Modena some way back in the spray in third place. Then we've got JJ Leto's Opel fourth, but not for much longer, because Wilson goes past him as well. Wilson is driving incredibly, he goes wide. Leto fights back, but Wilson is there. Internationally, very few people have heard of Max Wilson. He's a Brazilian Formula 3 driver. He's on his home circuit in front of his home crowd. He's borrowed the Alfa Romeo, normally driven by Jason Watt, and he's doing wonderful things with it. Nannini, Danner, Modena and Wilson. Alfa Romeo's now 1, 2, 3, 4, and Nannini looking very, very impressive indeed as he eases out a longer lead from Christian Danner. Danner slipping back into the clutches of Modena, and look how close Wilson is going, because Wilson is catching up with them. We've got a new fifth man now, because that's a battle between Ludwig and Magnussen. Magnussen trying to go on the inside in the big white Mercedes, Ludwig in the yellow Opel on the outside, but Magnussen shuts him out, and Dalmas understeers wide as he does so. And there's Manuel Reuter. He started at the back, he's now up to 8th place, whereas Bernd Schneider on his slick tyres in these conditions has dropped way back. Here are the three Alfas, the four Alfas, and Wilson's making up another place. Wilson goes past Stefano Modena. What a fantastic debut this young man is having in ITC racing in these tremendously wet and slippery conditions. It's raining now harder than ever. Plumes of spray coming up from the backs of the cars. Visibility is difficult when you get close to the car in front, which is what Wilson does now, because he's attacking Danner this time. Wilson isn't happy with third place. He wants second, and he's going through on the inside. He squeezes Danner off the line. Danner goes very wide in a big understeering moment, and into second place goes Max Wilson. And I think that Stefano Modena is going to be able to profit from that moment of Danner. Modena has indeed gone past Danner. It's now Wilson second, Modena third, Danner down to fourth, and still Alessandro Nannini leads the race. But I can tell you that Max Wilson is catching there. Alessandro Nannini, you can see it for yourself, and Manuel Reuter sliding over the curbs, getting onto the grass. We ride with him. This is a rare mistake by Manuel Reuter, but he's using the four-wheel drive of the Opel to get the car back onto the tarmac. And we see it again, a very bumpy ride indeed, but he kept it pointing in the right direction. That was a most unusual mistake for the usually so smooth Manuel Reuter, but he's carrying on with the race. And look, this is the battle for the lead now, and Wilson's done it! Wilson surprises Nannini, who almost locks up his front wheels under braking as they go into the S-bend after the start-finish straight. A great cheer from the Brazilian crowd. Max Wilson, on his first day of ITC racing, is leading here in Brazil and pulling away from Alessandro Nannini, the so fast, so experienced Alfa Romeo team leader. And meanwhile, his teammate Nicola Larini in the other red and white Alfa is also moving up. Here he comes through on the inside of Stefano Modena. Larini goes third, Stefano Modena fourth, and there's Klaus Ludwig in the yellow Opel, the best placed non-Alfa Romeo in the race, who is now fifth, ahead of Christian Danner. The Alfa behind them is Giancarlo Fisichella, who is a couple of laps down, and then we've got the white Mercedes of Jan Magnussen. There he is, the best placed Mercedes, who has Giancarlo Fisichella ahead of him to lap. But Alfa Romeo's now 1, 2, 3, 4. Clearly the Alfa Romeo working better than anything else in these torrentially wet conditions. You can see the cars understeering straight on under power as they go through that long downhill left-hander. The windscreen wipers working overtime, the plumes of spray coming out behind the cars. And where an Alfa Romeo short, Christian Danner's Alfa has gone missing. We've still got Modena and the lapped Fisichella there, but no Christian Danner. And there you see the two works Alfas of Nannini and Larini as Fisichella unlaps himself on Modena, slithering wide as he does so, but keeps the outside line as they go up the hill. But Fisichella, who had a delay right at the beginning of the race, is a couple of laps down. And we've lost Nannini, or at least Nannini has slipped down in the order somehow as they come past the start-finish straight. Wilson still leads. Nicola Larini now second. Ludwig's Opel is third. And Magnussen has just gone past Modena, just behind Nannini. So a lot of confusion there, but somewhere Alessandro Nannini has lost some time, and it's now Wilson first, Larini second, and Ludwig third. There's Reuter going off once more. Manuel Reuter goes off at exactly the same place as he went off last time, goes off a bit deeper this time, but still manages to get the car back on the circuit. And look at all the gravel he's put on the course. And Magnussen is flying. Magnussen laps Fisichella now, but behind Magnussen is Nannini. That makes Magnussen fourth in the Mercedes. Alessandro Nannini has slipped back to fifth place in his Alfa Romeo. Still Wilson first, Larini second, Ludwig third. And this is what happened to Christian Danner earlier. Bang into the wall in the Alfa, did it a lot of no good. That's the end of Christian Danner's race. And this is where Alessandro Nannini had his problem. That's why he lost second place, and there's a whole lot more gravel on the circuit there at that point now. Meanwhile, in the Alfa Romeo pits, Stefano Modena has decided he needs some proper wet weather tyres, so fresh tyres for him. He's been slipping down and down the order with handling problems on the still soaking wet circuit. And that's Klaus Ludwig's car being wheeled away. So we've lost Ludwig out of third place in this race of attrition. And there goes another one. Yannick Damas spins backwards off the circuit, but we've now got a battle on for the lead because Max Wilson is struggling for grip. It looks as though his tyres are past their best, and Nicola Larini's Alfa has closed right up with him. There's a battle for fourth as well because Alessandro Nannini is threatened by Manuel Reuter. Nannini holds that fourth place just, but if Reuter can get past him, with Bernd Schneider well down the order now, then Reuter will clinch the championship today. Here's the battle for the lead once more, and as we watch, so up the inside under braking, weaving a little on the slippery surface goes Nicola Larini, a very tight, close entry. He gets away with it, he slides a little bit wide, and Max Wilson has a look at the inside once more, but Larini has got his foot hard down and under power. He's able to drag away. Nicola Larini leads. Wilson is second, Magnusson is third, but this is the battle for fourth place, and if that black Opel gets past that red and white Alfa, and it does so, and if he can stay there, Manuel Reuter is today going to be the ITC champion. Bernd Schneider, his closest rival, has slipped down and down the order, struggling for grip, and as we start the last lap, so Manuel Reuter has got his Opel into fourth place, and it's starting to look like the championship today, with one event still to come for Manuel Reuter. Off goes Alessandro Nannini yet again. Alessandro Nannini slithers back onto the tarmac, but as his teammate goes towards the checkered flag, so we see that happen, and it was trying to get back at Manuel Reuter that caught Alessandro Nannini out. So Reuter now not threatened. Reuter is in fourth place, and this is how it looked from Reuter's rear view mirror as the Alfa got very close and then went sideways and backwards off the circuit, and Reuter was able to go on unthreatened. This was Nannini's eye view. He was going for the inside because Reuter went a little bit wide for that left-hander, but it caught Nannini out. It's so slippery still, and bump over the curbs goes Alessandro Nannini before getting the car back onto the circuit. This is Nicola Larini's Alfa Romeo going uphill through that long left-hander towards the checkered flag, and Nicola Larini, who started this race 22nd on the grid, has fought his way through in the treacherous conditions to score an absolutely magnificent victory. The flag waves for Larini. 2 Alfa wins, 1 for Nannini, 1 for Larini, but the real cheers, I think, are going to be saved for Max Wilson. There is Max Wilson taking second place and just holding off Jan Magnussen's Mercedes, which is third. Bernd Schneider a long, long way further back. They're delighted for Max Wilson in the Alfa Romeo pit, but this is the man. Here he comes, Manuel Reuter, fourth in the race, first in the championship. Manuel Reuter is crowned today, with one event still to go, the 1996 ITC champion. So, confirmation of the results, with Larini winning by 6 seconds, Magnussen just failing to catch Wilson, and our own Dario Franchitti scoring a point in 10th place. And the championship table shows that now Reuter cannot be beaten, whatever happens in the final event in Japan, but there was so much going on in this race that even Reuter was confused.
Unbelievable feeling. After the checkered flag, I get in my display champ, and then I thought, maybe something wrong, and I asked 3 times over the radio, and they were crying a champion. And now again I asked 3 times again, said they made not a wrong calculation, and at the moment I can't believe it. It's for Opel and for me and for my sponsors, I have to say, golden year. 1 Le Mans and ITC champion. Unbelievable, incredible feeling.
Well, from Brazil, we're off to the other side of the world, to Japan, for the climax to the International Touring Car Championship. We'll see you there.